I'm Harley. So I am doing something very different and really outside of my comfort zone. But I am going to talk to you about The Walking Dead. I just finished the new trade. Spoilers, because I'm going to go over plot lines. This is number 27. Now, if you guys like this, I have all 27 of these, and I can discuss all of them with you. Might have to go back and reread some because I haven't read the beginning ones in quite a while. But since this is new, I figured I would go over it with you guys and see what you think. So in this, where this starts off, Negan just killed the alpha of the Whisperers. And now, I'm going to have to flip through so I kind of keep things straight. He is coming back to the Alexandria group to try to make peace, sort of. It's hard to tell at first if he's being genuine, but he seems to really want to work with them. I think he's been imprisoned for so long that he realizes that he's got very few options. He can die. I mean, he can go off on his own and probably die. He can try to regain some followers or some semblance of an army, but really, with what Rick has set up now between all of the communities in the area, that's really not very likely. He would have to go pretty far away and start over from scratch. His other option is to try to find some way to work with them to get them to trust him so that he can be part of their group in some fashion. Or he can go back to being imprisoned. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options, and I think he's aware of that at this point. And rather than having to start over, being off on his own, and having all of that, uncertainty, working with the group and trying to be part of the group is a better option for him. Now, obviously, there's a lot of distrust there. There's nobody that's totally excited about having him a free man, as it were, and out and about in the community. But they're all aware of who he is. So, I mean, there's not a lot he can get away with, really, even, which I think is his whole point as to why it doesn't hurt to have him be, not in this cell, basically in a basement. So with this, he lets them know that the Whisperers are coming. It's his fault. Obviously, he crossed the line that he wasn't supposed to cross. He really pissed them off by killing their alpha. And now they are going to come. He has started a war. So this war that's going to happen is his fault, but he feels like he's at least letting everybody know that it's coming, so that gains him some bit of trust with them as well. There are people that are hurt and healing. Aaron is still on the mend from the last run-in with the Whisperers. And there's some illusion here that Jesus and Aaron might be a couple, which I think is super cute. I really like that. Maggie is still running the hilltop, and she is doing quite well. Herschel is getting huge. It looks like he's probably 3 or 4 now. Carl is doing well with his girlfriend, and she's trying to warn him that the Whisperers, they've done this before. They've run through communities before. They are kind of specialized at tearing them down. And she's trying to distance herself from him and trying to get him to realize that, I guess she wants him not to be connected, not to have feelings, because she doesn't want him to get hurt, but she doesn't want him to be sad if something happens to her either. And he's trying to explain that he's done this before. He's been through this kind of thing before. He's been through these wars, more or less. And that it's not something that's foreign to him, as foreign as she thinks maybe it is for him. There's a lot of dissension among the groups. Rick sends out basically a person to each kingdom, each community to try to get support, to get soldiers. And not everybody is so willing to help. There's a lot of dissent among the kingdom. They're not really... not everybody is united as far as whether or not to support him. The Saviors flat out refuse. There's another group that refuses, but I can't remember which one it is now. Father Gabriel comes to a kind of untimely death in here. I was surprised by that. I thought maybe they were going to keep him around a while longer, but in The Walking Dead, you just never can tell. They have a really good plan, though, as far as how to fight the Whisperers. Basically, they need to find out how many are going to fight, and then once they figure that out, they think maybe they can just hold them off. They can, they know the Whisperers go among the dead, but if they can just make a big enough wall of dead bodies, basically they feel like they can outlast them. And initially it's a good plan. It sort of works, but they do eventually get surrounded. So they end up killing as many as they can, and then they kind of divide their troops to split the dead off. They want the dead, they'll follow whatever's living. So they want the dead to split into smaller groups that are more manageable. And that forces the Whisperers that are among those dead to have to split off too and split their forces. Now, at one point, Dwight has the idea to, pull off one of the Whisperers once they can decipher which one it is. He pulls off one of the Whisperers, they kill him, and then they assimilate into them. They put on the Whisperer's costume, which is really gross, and then go into the dead with the Whisperers so that they can further annihilate, basically. And they do that over and over and over again until they have, cut down their people a lot. Negan really, really, really wants to take out the Beta. That's his big goal. Him and Beta have, not gotten along at all. So they square off, and he's almost ready to kill Beta. He's got him down and out, but Beta kills Lucille. He cracks the bat in half, and then Beta's I don't know, I guess if you're the second in command, who's your second? Alpha, Beta, would it be Delta, maybe? I don't know. I don't know that much about how that works. They drag him off, though. They're like, you're not winning. We need you. You have to come with us. So Negan is really, really pissed about that. And Dwight gives Negan a lot of shit because he's all broken up about a bat. But we found out later that the bat, he named it Lucille after his wife, and he never got to bury his wife. So he's really hung on to this bat, moreover, because it's the weapon that he could have used to save his wife had he been the person he is now when all this started, unfortunately. And then, the thinking that they've really, really done well, they kind of go to regroup and recover from this big battle. However, the hilltop then gets, assaulted with fire arrows and whatnot, kind of as a revenge or retaliation. I'm not really sure what the Whisperer's plan was there, but they do attack the hilltop. They manage to burn down the main building. Carl is almost killed, but at the last second manages to get out of this burning house. He saves a lot of people's lives that are living in the main house, manages to get Sophia and baby Herschel out safely. And it brings his girlfriend, it makes her admit that she cares, which is nice because she was really broken up when she thought maybe he was not going to make it out. The hilltop manages to survive mostly. They take a lot of damage. They're not going to be able to stay at the hilltop for quite a while. They have a lot of rebuilding to do. So they plan to go to Alexandria and stay there and then rebuild as they can until they can move back. And then what's her name? God bless. The leader of the Saviors admits that her plan all along is to let the communities fight for Alexandria, and then when the war is over between them and the Whisperers, when they are just dead tired and think everything is okay, that's when they plan to attack Rick. And the thing is, they just really underestimate Rick. He's aware of this plan. As soon as they don't send help, he figures that that's the next thing that's coming. It's obvious. They're not even trying to hide it. If they really wanted to be conniving about it, they would help in this battle. And then once the Whisperers were gone, right at that moment, before anybody's even had a chance to go home, they would turn and fight the people that are left over. I mean, I think it's obvious. It's obvious to everyone around the leader of the Saviors, and she's the only one that doesn't get it. So when Dwight finally returns to Alexandria, and he believes that he has won the war, that the Whisperers are done for, that they finally fought them back, and that anybody that's left over will just scatter. Rick says to him, "What do you mean? You mean hundreds?" He says, "Yes, probably almost 1,000. There were tons of them." Rick freaks out. He's like, "No, that's wrong." And Dwight says, "Rick, what's wrong? Why are you going?" He says, "We have to get back out there." And Dwight says, "Well, why?" And Rick says, "Because I told you, I didn't just see hundreds. I saw thousands, literally thousands of them, a sea of the dead. It roared like an ocean. We didn't kill them. They're still out there, and now they're coming this way." And one of the last pictures, if I can get it here, I'll show you, is just, oh, hold on. I gotta switch my hand. It's just, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And way in the back there, that's the Alexandria clock tower. So they're coming. Just all of them. They're all headed that way. They thought maybe they could split them up and head them in different directions. But obviously that is not the case. And now Beta, in the very last page, he's like, we don't even have to fight anymore. The dead are going to fight for us. They're going to take out our enemies, and we'll take whatever's left over. So I really liked it. It was a really good read. I can't wait for more, but that's 6 months away. So, it is what it is. And I really love the story right now. I think it's sometimes Walking Dead gets kind of dull. It gets kind of existential. They just kind of get comfortable and complacent. And this trade and the last trade, I feel like there's finally action again. They're finally doing something. In this post-apocalyptic world, it's really hard for me to believe that there would ever be downtime. There would ever be time where it feels normal again. I feel like there would always be some kind of like angst, and any type of normality is just really a lie. And so seeing all of this taking place, and how there's all of this like fighting for scraps and trying to build community, but just it's like one step forward and 10 steps back. I think that's more realistic. So I like seeing that. And I like seeing all the characters and how they develop. It's weird to think that there's been years that Negan was in that cell, that Herschel's not a baby, that he's actually like able to like talk and walk and like say things. Carl looks like a man now, and he's like in a relationship, like a real relationship. How weird is that? So anyways, I hope you liked it. I look forward to hearing from you and what you have to say and your take on it. And if you like this, let me know, and maybe we'll do more. All right, guys. Good night.